From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LA, direct from Santa Monica with your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. Incredible great news as we have a date for the recon vote. That's coming up in this recording after they've passed the reconciliation budget out of the House subcommittee. Cluster number 1 pass, hazard pay, $4,000 for elder care. Cluster number 2, including paid sick leave. And then cluster number 3, money for seniors and free internet. All the items staying in there, nothing getting reduced, and the only thing changed on the back end are taxes and duration, so says the Democrats. But in a major twist, Bernie Sanders' office speaks to one viewer of this channel and says your advocacy has become historic and important for that monthly stimulus check. I'm going to go over all those details and more. Then we'll be cutting to the third stimulus that has additional $13 billion cash infusion, and one viewer ending the week with an additional $7,000 she didn't start the week with. I'm going to show you how you can get these big sums of money that are coming out. We're going to turn to the nonprofits that are picking up for money for rent, utilities, food, appliances, and more. I'm going to show you how you can get big money right now as we wait for the exciting details of now a date is set for that recon. Wow, we got a lot coming up. But we're going to go over all the big money you can get right now in advance of that date of that recon. And then we go over all the dramatics that's heating up behind the door as this channel and your advocacy is becoming historic for the support for that recon like you've never seen before. Because the toast is toasted, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and it's time for Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I hope the weather is good where you are. It is brutally cold. Yes, you heard me right. Cold for LA standards here in Los Angeles. In less than a week, the weather has dropped, which is a big issue because remember, when we're talking about third stimulus, you want to be getting all this big money right now, especially from those nonprofits before the cold weather comes on in, and it's coming in like gangbusters. In this recording, we'll go over the incredible big sums of money you can get for third stimulus, but we're going to start first, of course, with fourth stimulus, which is now getting a date for that recon, and the date is about 2 weeks from now. Wow, it's getting exciting. We got cluster number 1, cluster number 2, and cluster number 3 all pass. I'll explain what that means for you, and then the addition of those IRS stimulus checks on top of that. And what Bernie Sanders, and more importantly, Chuck Schumer's office, yeah, he's the guy that can add it at the very 11th hour, what his office said to a viewer not once, but twice in the last 7 days. We got an exciting recording today. I'm excited you're here. We're really at the edge of the finish line with no less than 2 weeks away, and hit that subscribe button right now. This is LA, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week, financial news channel in America, getting you financial independence, and I'm going to show you how to get big money today. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and become a member so you learn about all the big money available for you across the board starting today. Let's go right to the breaking news, and there's a lot of it, with a date now set for the reconciliation budget bill and roads and bridges, October 31st. Nancy Pelosi represents that will be the date in which both bodies of legislation are called for a vote. This is huge, but remember that the recon budget package, not bill, but package, has already been passed. And so is that going to be exactly as it is? No, they're still going to add stuff to it. Let's go over each of those clusters that have now been passed. $3.5 trillion in this package. And cluster number 1 is hazard pay and $4,000 for elder care. What is in this first cluster checks passed? 2 Saturdays ago, House subcommittee passed this $3.5 trillion recon package, but can still add stuff to it. It's not a bill, it's a package. And in that first cluster is hazard pay. They broaden the eligibility of the earned income tax credit so more people qualify for it, and then increase the amount of money so that those essential workers can get more money. Up to $4,000 a year to care for an elder person. They got it in there. Up to $4,000 a year to care for a young child. Then they got home repairs in there. If you live in a low-income community, you can get free home repairs under this recon. Then they got college grants to the university, to the student, and also the Pell Grant, made tax-free. $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks got in there as well. They took the CTC, the child tax credit, and broadened the eligibility and increased the amount of money. This is up to $300 a month, every month for every year, up to 18 years. Yes, that's $51,000 a child. Then they got free money also for bikes, cars, and trucks. First, up to 15% for the purchase of a new electric bike. Then, up to $7,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle, personal use. Then a little bit more for business use and a little bit more for a truck. And this is all U.S. auto manufacturer. Wow. In a second, we're going to go over the second cluster of checks that got in there, passed, and the third cluster of checks that got in there, passed. And then we're going to go those IRS stimulus checks. Stay with me. Stay the final 15 minutes of this video. We got a lot coming up. But the big surprise is that additional $13 billion going out to your cities and counties for rent is now there. Over the last week, I detailed to you that Treasury announced that additional $13 billion from third stimulus, which had a total of $47 billion for rent, landing in your cities and counties and states. Treasury is happy to provide this additional resources to people in times of assistance, said that Treasury statement. Well, I told you reach out and get that money as quickly as possible. And one viewer this weekend is going into this weekend with an additional $6,000 she didn't have starting this week. And here she is. Her name is Prina, and she writes, "Hey, LALATE, I want to thank you so much. Without you, I would not have known about the additional $13 billion going out to the states. I immediately pounced, and now I got approved for November to January. That's $6,000 for 8 months of rent. Wow, that's how we do it. And in this recording, stay with me. I'm going to show you how other viewers, and you can as well, have gotten $80,000 to $100,000 from third stimulus. I'm going to show you how you get this big money today, not 5 weeks from now and not 5 months from now. Stay to the final 15 minutes of this video. It's coming up. But first, let's turn to the second cluster of checks passed in that $3.5 trillion recon package on that House floor. Cluster number 2's checks are deliciousness. They include the following items. They are items such as the incredible home repairs and paid leave. Well, how does the second cluster checks package work? Remember, the recon is for all people nationwide. Red states, blue states, and SSI, SSDI, everyone. What is in second cluster number 2? Well, we start with paid leave. And how much does it pay? A lot. Up to $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. Split in half. Let's say you make $35,000 a year. That would be $800 a week. Let's split in half. If you make $15,000 a year, that would be $400 a week. Wow, that's a lot of money. What is this for? Paid family leave. You have to stay home because your wife is pregnant. Paid medical leave. You have to stay home because your son broke his leg. Then they got money in there for the home. More money for the home. This one's for weatherizing the home. What is weatherizing your home? That is when the moderate Democrats are on the roof. As I always say, keep the moderate Democrats out of the House. And wherever possible, keep the moderate Democrats out of the Senate. There you go. They got other checks in the second cluster, and they're deliciousness. Child care programs checks, household tax credit checks, then checks for seniors, dental, vision, and hearing. More about that in the third cluster. And then free pre-kindergarten and tuition-free community college. Definitely need it for anyone who doesn't understand what I'm saying. He just talks really funny. Now you can be fluent in the foreign language called Los Angeles. The class is called LALATE 101 and LALATE 202. There you go. Well, in a second, we'll be cutting to the third cluster of checks. They got those in their pass as well. But let's go over what Congress is doing. Congress is in town today. Congress is working over the weekend. And Congress is working lickety-split to get the final edits on that recon for you, with no less than then approximately 20 days away, Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden represent, not me, but they represent, that the vote on the recon will be by Halloween, and that the vote on the roads and bridges will be the same date. So during that period of time, they have to negotiate and figure out, with that past $3.5 trillion recon and all the incredible clusters detailed in here, what they want to add in and what they want to modify on the back end. In a second, we're going to go over those monthly IRS stimulus checks that they represent. They're adding in there. All right, ready for the incredible next item, which is cluster number 3. Cluster number 3 has checks in there, and those checks are wonderful. Checks for seniors and free internet. Stay the final 15 minutes more. I'm going to also go over a little bit more about the voting process. So cluster number 3's checks include checks for free school meals for all, checks for cheaper prescription medication, checks for farmers, checks for green energy, checks for workers, checks for free internet, and checks for seniors like dental, vision, and hearing care, and lowering the eligibility age for Medicare. Well, 2 of the checks in this third cluster, the president particularly likes, and I love, because they're instant savings to you. The first one is cheaper prescription medications. Everyone has medications. You go to the pharmacist, hey, hello, Mr. Pharmacist. Hello, LA. I have a really bad headache. Do you have something for that? Yeah, what's the problem? Listening to the moderate Democrats too often? Yeah, that's sort of the problem. Do you have a solution for that? Yeah, seats for stimulus. Yeah, I mean a prescription. The prescription, here you go, it'll be $40. You take 2 $20 bills out of your wallet. Then when you go to refill the prescription, you may only have to take 1 $20 bill out because you're going to slash a prescription medication. Then they're going to offer free internet. Red states, blue states, rich states, poor states. All you have to do is say, what's the username and password? Federal government is going to give big money to the city so that they can all run their own free internet company. And all you have to do is say, what's the username and password? The username is Sanimas No More. And the password is DC Reese. There we go. Later in this video, we'll be going over more about how they get this recon modified on the back end, not the front end. Stay the final 15 minutes of this video. We got a lot coming up new at afternoons. But now let's turn to that IRS monthly stimulus check. Wow. The breaking news is that you are now part of history to get that monthly stimulus check over the finish line. Let's see the incredible message that came in from Bernie Sanders' office to a viewer of this channel less than 48 hours ago. Here we go. She said that through yesterday, Bernie Sanders' office, who is this, by the way? This is a top aide in Bernie Sanders' office in D.C. talking to one viewer. So this is not a staffer. This is not a secretary. This is not a person who does the carpeting. This is a top aide. She said that through yesterday, Bernie Sanders' office had received 1 million comments from the people of LA, and Purple Power and their advocacy is making big waves. This is the first time many elected officials and their staff have truly heard from the people, and now they not only have heavy hearts, but have a renewed sense of urgency to get it out and help so many people in the time of work. Our advocacy has been so strong, so heartfelt, and so polite that it's not just for ourselves, but also the communities. Well, it's been in a week like this where the advocacy has really shown its fruits, as Debbie Applegate picked up the phone and called Chuck Schumer's office and Liz Warren's office and Bernie Sanders' office, advocating for that stimulus check and getting confirmation it's going in there. That's after Donnie's wife did the same last week, and Chuck Schumer's office saying, yeah, thank you for your advocacy, it's going in there. Let's go over where they can modify stuff to add a monthly stimulus check. First, the recon that passed on that House floor 2 weeks ago is not a bill. It's a package that things can be added to and things can be taken away from. Later in this video, you're going to see Maxine Waters worried that her stuff that's in there could be taken out. So it's a package that is in flux. It's not a bill. You don't have a bill until they introduce it to the House floor. Now, with that package in flux, with that package being modified, the Democratic and progressives have represented they're adding it in there. Future tense, they're adding it in there. 2 ways to add it in there. On the House side, they represent they're adding it in on the House side, like an AOC, Omar, Jalapal, and Pelosi's office telling viewers of this channel they're adding it in on the House side. On the Senate side, the senators can add it in as well. The senators get whatever the House votes on first, and they look at it and say, you didn't do this right. I want to amend it. Who determines the amendments? Chuck Schumer. Who calls for the amendments? Chuck Schumer. When are those amendments? The vote-a-rama, the final 2 days of the entire process of voting. And what goes first? What goes second? What time? Who determines that? Chuck Schumer. And who's the guy who says he wants to put those stimulus checks in there? Chuck Schumer. Wow. More about this later in the final 15 minutes for this video. It's getting great news. It's getting very hot. But the incredible details is now we have a date, we have a timeline, and now your advocacy has brought in the labors of no less than 1 million calls. And we're going to go over more about that as the second half of LALATE at Afternoons heats up. But first, here's a little bit about the volunteers. I want you to get as much money as you can for rent, utilities, food, and internet. That money is available for you right now. And I'll see you in 60 seconds as Afternoons LALATE continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then Afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now, direct from Santa Monica on Afternoons LALATE. I hope the weather is good where you are. It is getting cold here in Los Angeles. In the second half of this video, we'll go over more about these monthly IRS stimulus checks. We'll go over more about this big money you can get under the forced stimulus recon, a lot of it. Multiple checks that people can get upwards of $50,000 or more under this forced stimulus recon. Then we'll be cutting to the big exciting details of the big money available under third stimulus, as viewers are now getting $80,000 to $100,000, and I want you to go into next week and getting those sums of money as well. We'll be turning more back to the credible details of Bernie Sanders' office and your advocacy and what that has meant for everything across the board. We'll be going over what is important to understand as we go into these next 20 days. We'll go a little bit over the debt ceiling limit, and we'll be going over Maxine Waters' comments that are new that suggest how they modify that recon on the back end. So many details and so much going on. We got a big recording and it's just getting started. And this is LALATE. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers of YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family where big money is gotten on the regular. People are getting big sums of money from this channel. That's what every video is dedicated to make sure you get that money as well. Like the video and consider becoming a member. Let's cut to the big exciting details now about what's going on behind the scenes. You saw before the commercial break the incredible comment that came in from Sanders' office. Sanders' office now says that your advocacy has really been a game changer, that the advocacy is making big waves in the Senate halls. Senators have received so many phone calls from LA viewers that your advocacy is now well documented. Sanders' office tells a viewer of this channel that Sanders' office is now documenting and keeping logs of your advocacy. And your advocacy is coming in from red states, blue states, Republican viewers, Democratic viewers, and they're keeping logs of your advocacy to show the other side during the negotiation table. Here is what America needs. Now, your advocacy has, as the viewer said in that message between her and the Sanders top aide, is that they really have never seen anything like this. Sanders' office and the senators have never seen anything like this. So understand you are really part of a historic moment. Let's go over sort of the broad stroke of something that's sort of new here on this recording today. The broad stroke of the situation, which is we have a recon. It's a package. It's not a bill. It has clusters in there that were part of what was passed 2 weeks ago. It's not the final clusters. It's not all the clusters. But in those clusters were no stimulus checks. The Democratic leaders have told viewers of this channel they're adding it in there. They can add it in there on the House side. They can add it in the Senate side. Now, that's their representation to the viewers. To no less than 1 million viewers have been told that representation by those elected officials that they're going in there. Will the elected officials keep their promises to the viewers? Let's hope. Will the viewers of this channel continue to advocate? Yes. How important is the advocacy? Well, we have less than 20 days away, potentially, from the recon taking a potential finished form. And so if it's unfinished form right now, this is the point to advocate. Now, understand, you're advocating not just for yourself, not just for this community, but Americans in general. Americans are not advocating for anything. This is the only place where people are advocating for something. So if your advocacy wins, I hope Americans thank you for what you've done for everyone, not just for yourself. Let's go over how this advocacy works and where it started. It started 8 weeks ago when I said, pick up the phone and advocate. And you did. WR, longtime viewer of this channel, picked up the phone, called Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware. Advocacy was heard at that office. And WR said, I need it. I want to tell you why I need it. My family needs it. And Senator Chris Coons, Joe Biden's old confidant, staffer, said yes. He'll insert it in there, that monthly stimulus check provision. Then Bernie Sanders became a part of the equation. I had told you 3 weeks ago why there were so many important things going on. A series of breaking, developing details and exclusives started to come out from this channel. You saw how this channel changed quickly overnight. I reported one exclusively that the House would be writing the legislation in the subcommittee. I was right. I told you that the House subcommittee would be voting first. I was right. I told you that the Senate would vote last during the whole process during the vote-a-rama. That is now secured. But I also said Bernie Sanders is important to the equation. And that week, he said a important quote. Unlike prior budget chairmen, I like to get out amongst the people when I'm doing a recon. I said, if you listen to those words, that means he wants to go out and hear you advocate what you want in that recon. I said, pick up the phone and advocate. And Brother Joshua did. Lynn, Glenn, and Margaret did. They picked up and advocated. Now, let's go over what advocacy means. Let's go over advocacy is and what advocacy isn't. And I have some new details today on Afternoons. Advocacy involves telling your unique story. Your unique story involves a series of sentences that end with periods. I need stimulus because. I need this money because. I need it because what's going on with my church, my family, my leg, my town, my business, my community. It may be a financial story. It may be a personal story. It may be something about your medical issue. It may be something about your business. Everyone has a unique story. The listener on the other side is potentially not from your district. It potentially doesn't know your town, doesn't know your state, certainly has never met you, but they can absolutely relate to a personal story. And I told you that personal stories are understood by elected officials and their staff. We now have that confirmation from Sanders' office. No one in Congress has ever seen anything like this type of advocacy come in. That was all my doing, having you tell your story so that they could feel the emotional attachment to your story. We've had a lot of viewers say that staffers have broke down in tears in different Senate offices when you've told your story. That is how it works. I've also said make sure you say where you're from, and also say that you're an ally viewer. And that's important so that they hear, I'm from Arizona, I'm from West Virginia. I had one viewer from Arizona send me a beautiful message on Facebook. She has no less than 400 followers, and she said, we're all going to call, say we want this, so that Sanders and anyone else can say, Arizona, your people want this. You got to do it. And that's what advocacy is. Now, what's not advocacy? What's not advocacy is Dora the Check Explorer, calling up and just looking for stuff. Looking for stuff with a series of questions. No one wants to hear that. That's not advocacy. They're not elected officials. They're not elected officials for FedEx or UPS. They don't track things for you. So if you're calling up saying, where is it? When is it? What? How much? Where is it going to come? Will there be one? How much is it? That's not advocacy. That's Dora the Check Explorer. That's not what we do here. Now, let's also understand the following. You're advocating for not only yourself, but Americans in general. And that's why Senator Sanders and all these Senate offices have been so overwhelmed by your message. This is new at Afternoons LA. So if anyone says something like, they promised to add it to the forced stimulus recon. They promised to you, and where is it? It's supposed to be coming out. It's important to understand that these elected officials have made representations to you that it's going in. Those representations that it's going in still is at flux because we still have 20 days based upon this time schedule to make modifications to something that's not a bill yet. It's still a draft. It is still a package that would become part of a bill. But ultimately, it's your place to advocate, and it's your place to get that. And don't let anyone ever say to you, don't advocate. Don't ever let someone say to you, after you picked up that phone like Debbie Applegate and picked up the phone and called Chuck Schumer's office and advocated, and Chuck Schumer's office telling Debbie Applegate, Sanders said there will be a forced stimulus check. Don't ever turn that into what LALATE said. It's not what I said. It's not what I said. I'm a news reporter. I report what viewers are told. I don't make promises. I don't make guarantees. I report what viewers are told. And why people do that to bring negativity is to tell you not to call. They're trying to have you not advocate. They're trying to tell you never to advocate. And they are unsuccessful across the board because you have been advocating. 1 million of you. And Brother Joshua did, Lynn Glenn and Margaret did, and let's go for Brother Joshua did. He picked up the phone and called Bernie Sanders' office 3 weeks ago and said, why I need it. My family needs it. My church needs it. And Sanders' office said yes. $1,000 or $1,300, 3 to 6 months we'll be putting in there. But we need to hear your support. And that was what became the start of 1 million calls from LALATE and its subscribers and its viewers. It started shortly thereafter with Donnie. You met Donnie's wife early in this video. She was told by Chuck Schumer's office after she advocated last week that it's going in there. Let's look and see what Donnie wrote as he started the ball rolling right after Brother Joshua. Here's one of the screen grabs from no less than thousands of viewers from this channel. I called Bernie Sanders, the secretary. He said, yes, they're doing it. This is what my family needs, my city needs. I need it for everything. I need it for to go out. Hurricane Tina picking up the phone and advocating, being told it's going in there. Carolyn Smith advocating so well. She said people are losing their homes. They're losing what they got. And Sanders saying, yes, it's going in there. Yaya picking up the phone and calling Ron Wyden's office and advocating. And yes, him saying it's going to go in there. Then we understood the importance of picking up the phone and calling as many offices as you can. Because remember, you're advocating. You're telling a story. If you can tell the story to all 50 senators, that's great. You tell the story as many places as you can tell. And that's what Will did. He picked up the phone and he called. I called Chuck, Bernie, and also Liz, and I told them my situation and how I need this would make a big impact on my life. And all 3 offices said yes, they're doing it. And Liz Warren said $2,000, up to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. She's putting in there. Lorica picked up the phone and called Bob Casey's office, and Casey's office said, yeah, it's going in there. At that point, your advocacy, 1 million calls, had resulted in nearly 1,000 messages being confirmed after advocacy that there's a monthly stimulus check in there. Those 1 million calls have resulted in Coon, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, Wyden, Italian viewers of this channel, not telling me, not telling my voice, not telling my ear, but telling my viewers, 250,000 of them, that a stimulus check is going in there. You got to keep them to do it with those 20 days away. You have to push because we're not over the finish line until they do it. Now, on the House side, the House members can do it as well. AOC, Jalapal Omar, and Sheila Jackson. And that's why I said pick up the phone and call those House members. Janice, who's absolutely a wonderful viewer, she makes phone calls around the clock. She's called Omar. Yes. She's called Jalapal. Yes. Here's the Jalapal yes message as well. And Mark picking up the phone and calling Nancy Pelosi's office, advocating for the inclusion of it and being told it's $1,000 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. The messages did not stop last week. Several viewers getting confirmation from Schumer and with Donnie's wife, and also Bernie with several viewers, Omar Jalapal, and this week, 2 days ago, Debbie Applegate with the number 3 people in the Senate advocating as well. Now, 1 million viewers being heard among those elected officials. So understand, if Nancy Pelosi's representation is correct, that the recon will be voted by Halloween. We got a 20-day period in which to get that recon added in there, that IRS stimulus check provision, but we have 2 opportunities. We have it on the House side, and we also have it on the Senate side. So if the House members don't take care of the situation, the senators can still take care of the situation. Remember, the vote-a-rama is the final 2 days of the entire voting process. So the House members would vote on the House floor first with an actual bill. That bill either has it in there, it doesn't have it in there. If it doesn't have it in there, then when the senators get it, the senators can amend during a 2-day vote-a-rama and add it in there. And that's what Schumer's office says to his viewers, this channel. Now let's turn to more about that recon with the package in flux. The package in flux is in flux in many ways, and in a way this helps you. I had told you as soon as the package passed 2 weeks ago, it was not a bill. It was not etched in stone. Now we know it's in flux because the president said it needs to be in flux. You need to make some changes. Those changes are impacting what? Let's go over those details right now. The progressives all last week held their ground and said nothing is getting removed, no program is getting removed, and no program is getting reduced. That we're going to change the back end, like duration and taxes. Can they get that done? Let me go over the details of that and Maxine Waters' comments and Jalapal's comments about this as well. So, in the last 7 days, all the progressives came out firing, saying we're removing no program from the recon. Bernie said it, Liz, AOC, Omar, Jalapal, Pelosi, they are, Sheila, all saying that everything that's in there is staying in there. So the question is that going to be the case, and what do they mean by it? So what they mean by it is that if a program is in there, it's not coming out, and if the program's in there, it's not getting reduced. Let's use an example. Up to $4,000 a year to care for the elderly. Well, they're saying that program would stay in there. It wouldn't come out. And number 2, it would not get reduced down to $200. So those positions remained unchanged by the weekend. Let's see if they can keep those positions. Now, before I go forward, I have to go over Maxine Waters' comments. Maxine Waters is a beloved legislator from here in Los Angeles. She's also head of the Financial Services Committee, and she issued a stern press release at the end of the week saying that the $300 billion that has been passed in this recon that is dedicated for housing aid needs to stay in there. Oh, so that's a very fascinating series of quotes, because she, as a progressive that has a provision in there past $300 billion for housing, she's saying don't touch it. Interesting. So even as a progressive, she fears that progressives may still come after provisions and modify them. In fact, here's a quote from Liz Rice, who's not a politician. She's head of the National Fair Housing Alliance. She says that everyone's trying to battle to keep their provisions in the recon. We have all these coalitions of industry groups, housing groups, civil rights groups who are beating down the door of the White House to keep provisions in the recon. Very, very fascinating. Does it sound like someone? Yeah, it sounds like us. We are beating down the doors of Congress to make sure our provision for that IRS stimulus check goes in there. That's not left by the wayside. And here we have Maxine Waters, who has a provision in there, $300 billion. She's beating down the door to make sure it stays in there. Very, very fascinating. So you understand the dynamic of the situation. Nothing's etched in stone and nothing's free from the meat cleaver. So now let's go to how they modify stuff if they get their way. Progressives are proposing to not remove any program and not reduce any program, and certainly add programs in there. But can they modify stuff on just the back end to do it? Let's go over the details. First, I had told you several days ago at the start of this last week that they can modify the duration and get it done. And by modifying the duration, it would bring the price tag of the $3.5 trillion down lower into the twos, 2.2, 2.3. And guess what? 2 days after I said that, Jalapal said, we can change the duration. How was I able to predict this one? How was I able to get that exclusive right? Because Bernie Sanders did this at the front end, at the very beginning of this whole process. Let's recap. Before there was anything, Bernie Sanders was calling meetings with the Senate Democrats, all Senate Democrats, saying, I want to do a recon. Okay, what price tag, Bernie? $7 trillion. Not going to do it. Split in half. Okay, $3.5 trillion. All the Democrats, including the moderates, agreed to do that $3.5 trillion recon, called it for vote. That became recon procedural vote in the Senate, passed. Go to the Senate, passed, became law. Now they're doing recon substantive. Why and how did Bernie go from 7 to 3.5? It's exactly half the number. I'll explain to you what he did. He shortened the time horizon on programs, so the programs pay less years, but still pay the same amount per year and are in there. Here's an example just on numbers. I'm not saying this is how it happened. I'm just giving you an example with numbers. $4,000 to care for the elderly per year. Okay. He may have gone into the negotiations under this example, asking for 20 years for the program to run for 20 years. Meaning for every year you qualify, you would get $4,000 up to 20 years. They went in there saying, no, I'm not going to do $7 trillion. Okay, I'll split the program. I'll do the program half the duration. I'll do the program for 10 years. And suddenly, it's still $4,000 a year to care for the elderly. It's just a program that will pay this over 10 years every year that you qualify, not over 20 years. So that's how duration slices the price. It went from 7 to 3.5 by cutting half of the number of years. Very, very simple. Very, very easy to follow, right? So let's do that right now. Let's use an example again. Let's say that $4,000 a year to care for the elderly is a 10-year program. Well, let's say we take 3 years off of it and only make it a 7-year program. Well, that takes 30% off the price of that item out of the bill. If all the programs, let's just use something very, very simple. If all the programs under the recon are 10-year programs, with the exception, of course, the additional stimulus check, which is not 10 years of stimulus checks, but the other items are 10-year programs, let's do them as 5-year programs. 3.5, cut it in half. What's half of 3.5? 1.7. Bingo, done. I mean, very, very simple. Now, we don't have to cut the programs into 5-year programs, but that's an example of exactly how you can get this done very, very quickly. Now, on the other item, there's a more complicated way to do it on the back end, and that's changing the tax structure. Now, this has caused a lot of controversy in the last 24 hours. I'll tell you why. The recon seeks to raise 2 types of taxes. Wealth tax on billionaires they claim that are not paying their fair share taxes, and also corporate taxes on corporations that are Fortune 500 companies, the number 2 and 3 companies in the United States. They say they're not paying any taxes at all. They want to pick up those tax loopholes and close them. Now, the backside is that if they start to remove those tax code changes, then suddenly they're going to sort of endorse these tax loopholes going forward. So it's a very, very strange sort of tug and war that's going on the back end. All right, now let's turn to what you should anticipate for this weekend and this week going forward. First, you should anticipate that the way to do a recon modification is exactly the way the progressives do propose it. I hope they follow exactly what they have talked about and what I recommend as well, which is don't remove a program, don't change the amount of money that the program pays, just shorten the time horizon. That is the quickest way, as you saw in just a second. I said, if all the programs are 10 years, switch them in half and do them 5 years. Suddenly the bill goes from 3.5 to 1.7. It's very, very simple math. You do it, and everyone's happy with 5 years of programs. And if Jalapal's right, her statement 2 days ago was, if people love the programs, then we'll re-vote again to extend them in 4 years from now. Very, very easy. Now, what's also important to understand is with everyone battling to get stuff in there, and as you see Maxine Waters battling to keep her stuff in there that's already in there, it's important your advocacy really steps up. This is not a time or place for you to disappear and come back at Halloween and say, oh, so we're getting checks? You got to advocate for it right now. You got to advocate for it right now because we don't have a bill, we don't have a law, we don't have a House bill, and we don't have a vote of Rama in the Senate yet happening. So everything is still in flux. All right, let's turn to third stimulus because this is where things are getting very good very quickly. You know, I used to put third stimulus early in the videos. I'm putting it later in the videos, but it doesn't mean it's any less significant. I want you to get financial independence, and I want to show you how you can get big money across the board. We can get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more, and it starts right now. Get a pen and paper and cell phone ready. First, we're going to go over rent, and I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. Reach out to all 6. Then I'm going to each place has different eligibility. They have their own pots of money. And then I'm going to show you the nonprofits and more. All right, first we're going to go over rent. Here are the 6 places to reach out to. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. And your state hall and your state house authority. And the key words you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Rent or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. There you go. How much money can you get for the rent? Let's look at the money for rent that viewers have gotten on this channel. Nisi got $20,000 a month ago. There's Richard at 22, Nancy at 24, Mark at 25,000, Elizabeth $27,000 for rent. You met one viewer at the top of the hour who got an additional $6,000 from Austin. Well, one viewer whose name is Jen got close to $40,000 last week for rent. What's important to know when you're looking at the rent is before you do the rent, I want you to rely upon the LALATE newsletter. The LALATE newsletter is sent out nightly, Monday through Friday, and the LALATE newsletter has in there the Treasury statement, which explains the big money coming out from the federal government, that $13 billion. As Sheena said, she heard me say that, told, and I tell viewers, read the statement before you make the phone call. So when you ask for it, you know what to ask for, because they will ultimately say they don't have the money. They do have it. Next, utilities. Reach out to all utility companies. If you have 5, reach out to 5. Yes, utility numbers were this about a month ago. Angela gained $5,000. Nancy gained $7,000. Now Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities. Then when we talk about SNAP, this is where the SNAP was a month ago. It's gone now to $21,000 last month, but now $26,000. What's going on with SNAP? SNAP is now increasing nationwide, an average of 25% automatically starting this month, lifetime. You're going to be getting the statement from SNAP. What is SNAP? You get it's money for food. Where do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Reach out to them and get that money for SNAP. Get multiple sums of money. Here is how you can do combos. Viewers have gotten combos like Nancy and Mark and Nisi, $23,000. Here is Mark, who got $50,000. Mark is not alone. Lorraine is now getting more money. Even this week, she's at $110,000. Johnny got $80,000. People are starting the week and ending the week with big sums of money. That's what financial independence is about. Now, if you've done this and you've had problems with eligibility, then get ready for the nonprofits. Here are the 5 nonprofits. The 5 nonprofits are also featured in the newsletter for the viewers. The 5 nonprofits feature the same items under third stimulus, but with different eligibility than the federal government. They are United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. What's important to remember is that the nonprofits also help with other items that the third stimulus doesn't have in there. Homeless people into shelters. People's assistance for clothing, money for also small appliances like furnaces and refrigerators and window repairs, small nominal items across the board. And of course, in October, Salvation Army does holiday gifts. Reach out to them right now. Who are, again, of those 5 nonprofits? Let's go over them. United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. Finally, if you're not a member, join today. The membership link is under the video. I want you to become a member of this channel so that you can become financially independent. This big money under third stimulus and the nonprofits is available right now. The membership newsletter is sent out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, from the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system are written by me. It features all the big money under first, second, and third stimulus, and everything that's proposed under fourth stimulus. That's how viewers are getting $80,000, $100,000. I want you to go into this new week with getting big sums of money from this channel. I don't want you to be dependent upon an event. I don't want you to think that you don't qualify or anything. First, every viewer of this channel qualifies for something. Number 2, there is no broad stroke disqualification number for any place or person. If anyone says to you, there's nothing in the state of Florida unless you got purple hair, Untrue. There is nothing in the state of Nebraska unless you had COVID. Untrue. These sort of fake narratives are abound, and we see them every day. They are untrue. I want you to get these big sums of money because this money is available for you right now. I want you to share your success stories on social media. Send me a private message when you have a success story. I feature it on a camera. Then I want you to get this big money into 2022 as far as you can. And finally, I want you to lean on the nonprofits. It's getting colder here in LA, surprisingly cold, but most of the country, it's still not winter yet. So the nonprofits do not have a lot of phone calls coming in. I've done this before. I did this last year. I know what happens in November. I know what happens in December. November, December, everyone says, I didn't see a stimulus package yet, sent out a check yet. Can I get some money? And then they start asking for the nonprofits, and then the nonprofits don't respond back as quickly as if you had called in October. Get the money right now. I want you to get as much money as you can this coming week. If you need assistance, reach out to the volunteers. Remember, you can always replay the video, and I'll have more videos throughout the day. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto. Then we got Evenings LA, a new show tonight. Then we got shows like our new hit show, Evenings Countdown, which is right after Evenings LA. It's at 6 o'clock. Then we have Stream Syphilis at 7, Sirloin at 8, and then we have shows at 9, at 10, and 11:30 tonight, which explain how to track stimulus and how to make sure you have the correct bank, because some banks pay the money faster than others. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling, keep on advocating, and get that big money from third stimulus and the nonprofits right now. And stay with Ally for more.